Financial markets in Russia had been volatile for weeks, leading up to the country's invasion of Ukraine. And we saw a sell-off after the US and numerous other industrialized nations imposed sanctions on Russia when it moved into the sovereign nation. One of the most significant results of all that has been the historic loss of value for Russia's currency, the ruble. I'll explain why that is, how it works, and what it could mean for Russia and its conflict with Ukraine going forward. First, let me explain why the value of Russia's currency is so important. Currencies are traded on markets, just like stocks or other investments, where investors decide every day what a country's dollar or peso or ruble is worth. When a country's economy improves, typically its interest rates rise, and it attracts outside money, so the value of its currency increases. When the economy slows down, the central bank is usually cutting interest rates in an effort to improve things, and the value of the currency typically falls. A weak currency makes it expensive to buy imports because many are priced in dollars. So even if the price of an item doesn't change, when a currency loses value, it costs more for that country's citizens to buy. That also raises inflation and creates problems for businesses. Russia's currency has been losing value since 2014, when Russian President Vladimir Putin decided to invade Crimea and face sanctions from the United States, European Union, and others. One US dollar bought around 32 Russian rubles at the beginning of 2014. By the end of 2019, it was about 62 rubles. At the start of 2022, $1 was worth around 73 rubles. Then came the invasion of Ukraine, sanctions from the US, Europe, and others, and the removal of Russia's access to the SWIFT global payment system. That is big. My colleague Shelby Holliday has a great video about SWIFT, what it is and why it matters. I've left a link to that video in the comments. Check it out if you want to know more. Economic sanctions, like the ones imposed on Russia, are orders by countries that ban their companies or financial institutions from doing business with firms based in the sanctioned country. The sanctions imposed so far largely stop the flow of European and American money into much of Russia's financial system. That can choke off a country's economy because its businesses simply can't do business with large portions of the world's financial system. The ruble fell to a record low value of 85 to 1 versus the dollar after the invasion, and to more than 100 rubles per dollar in the following days. In addition to boosting inflation, a weak currency also causes capital flight. Investors pull their money out of the local currency and put it in one seen as more stable, typically dollars or euros. In response, Russia has imposed capital controls, and its central bank has raised the country's interest rates to more than 20%. This could be the start of a vicious circle. High interest rates means it's more expensive to borrow money, which slows down the economy. And rising inflation makes goods and services more expensive and harder to obtain. This is the goal of sanctions: hurt a country's economy so much that its leaders decide to change their actions. In this case, that means pulling back on the invasion of Ukraine. However, Russia still has a massive stockpile of dollars, euros, and gold. And it also provides about 12% of the world's oil, so it's unlikely that Russia will fold overnight. Outside of Russia, this turmoil hasn't undermined investors' confidence. While stock prices have been hurt by the conflict, US and European markets haven't seen anything like the sell-off in Russian assets. Currencies tell an important story, and investors should watch the ruble if they want to see how much better or worse things are getting in Russia. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. And make sure to subscribe to keep up with my latest videos on markets and finance. I'll see you next time.